You are listening to the podcast of the Mathias Corvinus Collegium, the largest talent management institute in Hungary. If you want to know more about our mission, please look up our English website at mcc.hu/en or check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. For interesting articles and analysis of our professors, external contributors, and students, look up our knowledge base at corvinus.hu/en.
Welcome to the podcast series, Asia Meets Hungary, prepared by the Learning from Asia project at the MCC Learning Institute. My name is Bimba, a junior researcher in the Learning from Asia project. Within the project, we have an Asian PhD student community. It's called the Asian PhD Forum. We are hosting this podcast by having guests, mainly Asian PhD students studying in Hungary. Within this podcast series, we discuss life in Hungary as a PhD student and compare Hungarian education with their home countries. I hope you would enjoy our content. We have 3 PhD students here who are from China, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself briefly.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for Bimba. Thank you for MCC inviting us to be here so that we can have the opportunity to share our personal thoughts with the audience. So my name is Yang from China, and I'm currently the PhD candidate in Utrecht University, and I actually also achieved my master degree here in Hungary. And I also have 4 years working experience as a administrative and management staff in the field of higher education, namely 1 year in a higher education institution and 3 years in the education department of the provincial government.
Hi everyone, I'm Yutong, and I come from China. I studied in China for my bachelor degree in English Studies and General Education for the master degree in Australia. And now I am a second-year PhD student in Utrecht University in Hungary, Budapest, and in the Faculty of Education Editor Program.
Hi everyone, my name is Yupu from China. I'm a PhD candidate at the Faculty of Education and Psychology at Utrecht University in Budapest, Hungary.
Thank you very much. So I'm very happy that I am actually having my classmate, Yupu, and my junior PhD students here. And I'm very thankful that you take your time to join my podcast. So my first question is, we are all studying in Hungary, and what made you to come to Hungary to do your PhD? Why Hungary, actually? And because, you guys have academic experience abroad or in your home country. And why did you specifically choose Hungary?
So I think the first reason is I haven't been to Europe before. So I found it would be great if I come to Europe countries and experience by myself. And I also have done some research online that ELTA is one of the most famous comprehensive universities in Europe, and its field of education has also developed very well and has a long history. So that's why I choose to come to Budapest.
And how about you, Poo? What do you think? Why did you come to Hungary?
Okay, first of all, because I found this scholarship supporting, and also my supervisor, he's into the shadow education field. It's perfectly for me to join this program. And I think it's a kind of the relationship between the countries as well, because I never been Hungary or the Budapest.
And have you ever been in Europe before?
No, I didn't.
So Hungary is your first country in Europe?
The first set foot.
Okay, nice. Actually, same experience as mine, because Europe is also, I get to know Europe through Hungary. Yeah. How about Yang?
Okay, so the same for me. I have never been to Hungary, Europe before, but as I mentioned, I working in the education department before, and I'm kind of in charge of this scholarship program, and I'm quite familiar with this program. And besides, as Yupu mentioned, our 2 countries have very good national level relationship, so that's the main reason. That's why I come here.
I also have the same question. that I asked from Yupo. So, have you ever visited Europe before?
No, never, ever.
Can you share some unique experiences or challenges you faced as an Asian student? So, is there any challenge that you feel when you are studying in your university?
First of all, for me, I think the language barrier is the most challenging thing for me. Besides that, I think for in the academic side, like writing academic papers paradigm is different. Also include the citation, even the standard is different as my experience, my previous experience. Also the logic for writing also different. And when I started to read a lot of English literatures, it's too difficult for me. I read very slow. Besides that, the presentation way and the relationship between the students and the teachers is different as well. And here is more like peer sharing and discussion. So it's a big departure from my previous experience.
And you mean that Chinese style, Chinese educational style is better than the better or easier than the studying in Hungary?
I cannot say that because academic world never say it's easy.
That's true. And any other challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think I agree with Yupu that as Asian students who study in Hungary, one of the unique challenges to overcome the language barriers, because our mother tongue is neither English nor Hungarian, so we will face some communication problems. And I think the second one is that the teaching style or the academic style in each regions or in each universities is different. So we need to adopt the teaching style in Hungarian academic environment. But I think these challenges also have turned into the learning experience to us to adopt the environment.
I see. Then when you're in studying in the Hungarian education, so it's all new for us, For example, when I'm started learning or studying in university, it was actually very difficult for me, the process. And I would like to ask questions relevant to that. When you're studying in Hungary, what adjustments, professional or academic or cultural adjustments did you have to make while studying in Hungarian university?
Okay, I would like to tell one story from my own experience. It's individual, but also to share what kind of adjustments I have to do. It's looking back to the 2019 when I first arrived in Hungary, also the first time I arrived in Europe. I would describe this initial experience as an adventure because, for example, after I setting down my luggage and I started to find my university for registration, but I didn't know. Even I top up for the internet date for my Chinese SIM card, but it didn't work for the foreign applications. It's only suitable for the Chinese domestic applications, so I cannot use the Google Map. So I rely on the screenshots of the Google Map and started to find my university because I expected my university at least has a campus gate. But I never ever think my university is a single building and located on the most famous Pubs Street, which has many attractions around. Okay, finally I found it, but the staff's already off work. It's around 4 p.m. So the whole experience I have to digest for a while. It's totally new and it's a kind of the culture shock for me.
Mm-hmm. I see. Actually, I kind of have a similar experience, but of course not in regards of the Google Map, because in my country, the Google the website itself works really well. So it was an easier process. But in terms of the adjustments, there were several things. For example, the library or the educational environment. Because let's say the Asian education environment is more stricter. I'm pretty sure this is not the exact term to use it, but when we are in the university or a school, we get a certain permission from the teacher, right? But in the Hungarian education, the adjustment was that I need to feel free about myself. In my country, we were a little bit tensed down. We need to respect everybody. We need to watch our words, what we are saying. But in Hungarian universities, I feel free, which I feel like, wow, can I feel this free or not? Because it was a bit of adjustments, but in a way, now I'm very happy that I get to experience these moments. Then probably when I go back home, I don't know. We will see. But I'm glad to know that you made these adjustments. And when you are pursuing your PhD, so in what ways, what kind of experiences has influenced your perspective on your academia or your research in general, or probably at the personal level? So is there any moments or any experiences that influenced you?
Yes, I think being an Asian student in Hungary for the first time is allowed me to bring the diverse perspectives into my research and discussion, and indeed my life, because we have diverse international students over the world, and we also need to adopt the local culture and the environment. So personally, I have become more open-minded, adaptable, and tolerant. And secondly, in terms of research, I also participate in different project groups and experience the conferences, from which I could learn a lot of academic knowledge and skills. And in terms of life, participating in these activities also increased my interaction and communication with the international students and the local colleagues, and also the researchers in different fields. And I have also made a lot of progress, I think, in the social ability aspect.
And how about you, Yang Yang?
Yes, for me, I would like to say first is about the cultural integration and which can broaden my thinking. So interacting with classmates, scholars, and professors from different countries and cultural backgrounds allows me to experience diverse cultures and broaden my thinking, as I mentioned. And this cultural exchange can cultivate adaptability and provide a broadened global perspective when we're facing various issues and benefiting both academic and non-academic fields. And this is especially beneficial for the comparative studies or qualitative research in my eyes. And the second one is the equality between the supervisors and the students. The professors here, or in most cases, as far as I know, or at least in my experience, my relation with my supervisor, she never pushes me to do any work, respect my ideas. For example, when we encounter an issue, I expressed my opinion and she gives me her advice. But I could say, no, I don't think your idea is better. I still want to insist it on my own opinion. And this gives me the autonomy to explore the areas I'm really interested in. But of course, the disadvantage is that I may need to spend much more time completing a task. In the other way, this reward of this actively exploring, including what I considered as failure. Like I spent my time, but I found, okay, my opinion, my idea is not right. My supervisor is right. But also this failure, are more conducive to my development. Yes.
Do you say that are you saying that your supervisor's idea is correct and yours is incorrect?
So sometimes, for example, because once I have an idea to write something, but my supervisor told me, not directly told me also, like this may not be the good point, but I didn't agree with my limited knowledge, and she didn't ask me or order me. You need to follow what I said.
I'm just trying to remember who is your supervisor. Do I know her or him?
Oh no, this is also a different kind of system, because my supervisor actually is not the 4 members in Utrecht University. It's in Second University, yes.
I see. How about you, Pooh?
Generally, for the because I read much more English literatures than before, so it seems like bring me to the international field in my research topic, and also I know more knowledge in this channel compared with before. Like all the big professors, they gather together and make quite productive outcomes. I benefited a lot after I can read. And another thing I would like to say, the MCC's project Learning from Asia gave me quite a good experience, because before I stand into China's land, when I think everything is granted by me. Everything is nature. For example, the culture aspects and the other elements. But for now, when I stand outside of that framework and look back into my home country, I can find somehow different in different perspectives. So I really, thanks to this project, give me or enlighten me to look in a more completely perspective, and always surrounding my consideration into the culture, economic, and political, also the social structure aspects.
Wow, thank you very much. And you mentioned about the reading English writings, right? I remember when we were in the Kazakhstan dormitory together, I remember you were sending me so many books and articles in English, and I remember how you were reading a lot. I mean, you were really hardworking student, because when I get to go to your room, because there was my Mongolian friend in your room, right? So I got to visit your room often, and you were just studying there. And when I see you on the ground floor, I get to see you. Then you're like, Bimba, have you read that book? Have you read that article? Because it appeared in this subject. So it reminds me of how you have grown from Kirakesh dormitory, because we were together, and now we are almost 5th or 4th year students. And so I just want to say that you have grown so much, because during the pandemic time we didn't meet, but after pandemic we got to meet through the Learning from Asia project, and we got to see each other again. And when you're speaking or explaining or presenting, like I could see like how you improved a lot. And I just want to mention this because I felt nostalgic when you mentioned about reading the English books or articles. Okay, let's go back to the podcast. So we have students, PhD students from China. So we got to know how Chinese education system is. So let's talk or brainstorm how the Chinese education system is. For example, structure and how the system is, probably how can you please briefly elaborate on this area, because for the listeners it might be interesting.
So for the primary education in China is 6 years, but there are few cities it's like 5 years.
5 years. Then how about the junior high school? Then
So
the high
normally the lower secondary
School?
is 3 years, and the higher secondary school is 3 years as well. So it's 6 plus 3 and 3.
which means 12 years of okay. And after that you have a university which is 4 years or 3 years for the bachelor's.
4 years for the universities, but 3 years for the colleges.
For the colleges. And can you just for the listeners, I'm trying to dive into how education system in China is. So what was the routine when you were in high school? For example, you get to wake up at this time and you get to sleep around this time, but whole day, what do you do at school?
So normally for the high school students or the higher secondary level schools, we wake up around 6 in the morning. Then the 6:30 we'll have the morning running in the schools because normally we live in the campus. And then from the daily routine will be divided into 3 sessions. The first one is from 6 to 12 in the morning, and we will take the morning reading courses and also the subject-based courses. And then it's a lunchtime and break. And the second session is from 2 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and we take courses, the subject-based courses during this session. And then we will take a very short time for the supper. And then the third session is from 6 to 10 or 11 in the evening, which is called the self-learning courses, which means that the teachers will not teaching anything during this session, but students will doing their homeworks and learn by their own. But I think it's interesting as even it's called the self-learning courses, but it's subject-based. For example, on the Monday evening is English self-learning course and the Chinese self-learning course and like that. So it's based on the subject, but it's managed by the teacher itself, but you only doing the, for example, English homeworks and doing English studies in the English self-learning courses.
Wow, that's impressive, because you wake up around 6 a.m., then you finish your day around 11 p.m.
Yes.
Wow. And you have a supper at school. Supper, the dinner.
Yeah, at school. And it's normally like 30 to 40 minutes for you to take the supper.
And is this lunch and dinner are provided by the government?
No, it should be by your
Family.
yeah.
Wow. And okay, now I'm wondering, okay, let's say you're living far from away your school. Then how you go back to school in the evening?
So it's like we lived in the campus. So we have the dormitory there. So for the students who cannot go back home and they live in the dormitory during the weekdays.
That's impressive. And how about the teachers? How long do they get to stay in the school?
I think for the 班主任, which called how to say in the header teachers, she should stay the whole day with the students. So from 6:30 in the morning until the last minutes of the self-learning courses.
Her salary must be so high. Wow, I'm so impressed. Okay, I hope. Wow, I am still wowing. You say that self-learning hours from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And in these hours, what do you do? Do you must finish your homeworks or do you do extra courses? What do you do?
It depends on the teachers because some teachers will teach the like additional knowledge for the courses, but some they will only give you time to do your homework. But normally we can't finish our homeworks like in this session. So after we go back to the dormitory or home, we still need to take time for the homework.
Still need to time. Wow. And what time do you sleep then? What time do you sleep?
And more exaggerated, like in the dormitory, students want to continue their studies, so use the candles in their bed. It's very dangerous. Use the candle as a light because we have the control of the light time, so it's quite common.
Using a candle at night.
Yeah, or
Wow.
your light.
Or the lamp that not need to use the charge directly. And because after the self-learning courses, when we go back to dormitory, there's only 30 minutes for us to like wash ourselves and take the time. Then at around 11:30, all the lights will be off.
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm just wowing.
For the student whose home are far away from the school, one way is to live in the dormitory, as Yutong mentioned, and the other way, it could be like the parents will sacrifice them, with a quotation, sacrifice, because they will rent a flat or apartment with their children to be nearby.
That's how the parents are devoted for knowledge. But I think in this case, we are very similar. I mean, not even similar. We are exactly same. In my country, I think you might be aware that we have a nomadic life in Mongolia. So the parents actually, if they are do not have a sufficient finance to support the children's education, they get to sell their sheep or goat to support the finance. So that's how China is supporting for the children to rent the apartment. But it's amazing. Thanks to the parents, actually. But I'm still wowing. I cannot wow enough. And so you experienced Chinese education when you were younger. Now you're studying in Hungary. So what are the differences in the education system between these countries? What would you say?
So I have communicated with my colleagues in China, and overall the system are quite similar. For example, the year here is, they changed the system from 3 years before 2016, and now it's normally 4 years. And in China, we still have 3 years to 5 years doctoral study, depends on the major disciplines. And there are differences in the specific details, such as curriculum design, based on my understanding of the doctoral programs. So here we are required to, in our editor program, we are required to complete 12 courses in the first 2 years, including compulsory and elective optional courses. And the compulsory courses are chosen from 3 modules, providing some flexibility within a structured framework. And in China, so what I know from my colleague also did the PhD in China, there are separate categories for major courses and general courses or common courses, for example, English. And with the professional compulsory courses, it's also, actually, it's predetermined. You cannot choose. Like the faculty or probably the faculty have already fixed this is what you have studied. And another distinction lies in the credit system. Here, our credit structure includes 4 parts, namely curriculum, academic research, teaching, and publications. And in China, the credit system mainly consists of the curriculum and non-curriculum credits. One different, in my eyes, the biggest difference is the inclusion of practical credits. So these practical credits, which also includes the teaching credits, But there another option is the participation in the professional competitions. So for example, you are the Chinese teacher who teach the international or foreign students, and you can join the competition in the field. Like you can guide your students, foreign students, to participate in a competition, and you win a prize. And this prize can equals to your credits in this field. And also the social practice, you can also understand it as the internship. So you do the internship in the school or university. It will also count it as the non-courses credits.
Thank you very much, Yang. It was very interesting. And is there anyone who would like to add? Probably you, Poo.
Yeah, I would like to supplement one thing is the entrance examination for the college is different, because for here I don't know exact how much and how the students preparing for their university, but for the Chinese students it seems like only one way and one time examination for deciding whether they can go to which or not to the university.
And you mean the state exam in China, right?
Yes.
After high school.
Yes.
And let's say if you fail in your state exam, then do you have one more chance or two more chances that you can take again?
Yes, it can retake, but not that easy.
So for the retake students, they are different when they apply for the universities. For example, if this is 2018, the year of 2018, the students who are officially graduated in 2018 will accept first by the universities. And after, if there's additional positions in the university in this major, they will accept the students who retake this exam. So there's orders. So they will have the second priority. The first priority is the students who graduated in this year.
And how about the reputation? If you take the exam again and go through this process, what happens in the reputation in the family? Is it like something wrong you are doing? Because, in Asian culture, we always talk about reputation, and our societies always talk about shame, reputation. We need to protect it. So how about what happens when you retake it?
I didn't retake, but I can imagine it's how difficult for the students from their mind, how to they conquer that reputation thing, and to because that actual year also consumed the family financials that need support as well. It's very difficult for the high school students to go outside for have a work part-time even. So it's really how to persuade the parents I need help.
Yes, and as well, if you're not get a good grade, maybe better than the last year, you will be judged or disappointed by your parents.
The children, the family really bearing much more spiritual stress. And also actually in my home country province, which could be called the most developed provincial in the field of education, even you want to retake your 12th grade the last year, it depends on what you achieved the scores, the state exam, the college entrance examination. If your scores are relatively lower, even no school want to take you, you will not have the opportunity to retake your last year.
How do you manage the balance between your academic responsibilities and personal life in Hungary? And how were you managing the balance between your academic responsibilities and personal life in China? So which one is difficult if you compare or reflect on those two aspects? Your personal life in China, your academic life in China, and then academic and personal life in Hungary? What's the difference? How do you manage it?
So for like studying in China, like the things is more easier because the only thing is that you only need to focus on your academic things. So you do not need to worry about your life or personal life experiences, because in China, for the students who go to the universities, we live in the campus, so we live in the dormitory. Everyone lives in the dormitory, and there's canteens, there's shops, there's everything in the campus. So every facilitator, so we don't need to worry about the personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hungarian is different because we need to balance our personal life and academic responsibilities, because we need to take care of ourselves. So I would like to share an example when I come here. Like at first, when I come here, I'm a bit late than the semester begins. So I'm not familiar with any colleagues at that moment, and I need to adopt the environment. So I'm get a mess where it's not great for me at that period. But I think the thing is I have to adopt the new environment, because I found that it affects my efficiency and quality of life, and also the physical and mental health. So I found it takes time to balance, but you need to change your mind first. So what I do to change my mind is to take here as a home, because you should stay at least 4 years. So why not take it when you're at home? And the second is you need to know more colleagues, and you need to take more time to communicate with them, even with your supervisor, and to have these social activities will more helpful to balance that.
Yes, that's very true. Being a PhD student in everywhere, I think it's difficult because you have to balance certain things, especially your social activities, important, which we ignore often, right? And how about you, my classmate?
I may say something different, because I think the academic and my personal life is perfectly integrated already. It's quite a balance. No matter where I study in Hungary or in China, it's same. I cannot say which one is more difficult, but I will say different as a Yutong, because, for example, I can read English now, and I can study in bigger stage in the international ground. So I can connect or communicate more in this international field. If I only read the Chinese literature, probably it's a lack of kind of the opportunities. So probably in this side, it's easier than that. It's like a different dimensions, but I think I have a balanced life. Academic is my work. My work is academic.
Basically, a personal life became an academic life. But she was like this when she was in the dormitory, to be honest. So I can imagine.
Yes, apart from Yutong and Yupu said, actually it also depends on your role or identity. How can I say? What Yutong's example, it's more like, I think it's more like the bachelor level. So it's more quite happy. You don't need to take care a lot of issues. But when you are here, you have to handle everything on your own. It's quite time consuming. And also because of the language barriers. In Budapest, it's quite good. I mean, the citizens here can speak English. But quite often, it's, for example, we Chinese use the second language English. And Hungarian also, they don't use their mother language, also English. Like 2 countries, people use the second language to communicate. So sometimes cannot understand each other. Back to the different role. So, for example, in my case, I feel quite easier here to do the study. Because when I'm in China, I have my job and I have my family. I have to spend my concentration on the other issues. I don't have time to study, to focus on my research. But here, except the issues, time-consuming issue I have to do here, even in China, I have more time to do my research or do the activities which I'm interested in.
That's true. That's true. Thank you very much, guys. And I wish we had time to ask more and more questions, but our podcast have a limited time, so I'm going to continue with our last two questions. It's more about reflecting on the Learning from Asia project. So, if I remember correct, you guys involved into the Learning from Asia project from the beginning. And we have had our 1 year anniversary last February. So during this 1 year, you guys have participated our conference, and even two of you are the speakers of our conference, and all of you have participated our events and workshops. And what was your impression when you were being involved in this project? What advice would you give to us to improve this project?
The most enlightened perspective or the aspect for me is when I stand into that mountain, I cannot see the whole picture of that mountain. But when I look back, because of this project, Learning from Asia, or I started to know more, I previously omit or neglect. That's the most inspiring thing for me.
I would like to mention actually it's more about the activities the MCC organized for us. So like the school visiting, we can have the opportunity to really observe the students here in Hungary and in school education. And this is the part which I never expected before, because actually I'm in the field of higher education. But what gives me more thinking is about the school education system. But we don't have enough time to elaborate it.
That's very sad. We don't have enough time to elaborate because I really wanted to discuss and talk about our school visit as well. But however, we have a very limited time. So for the last question, I would like to actually ask from Yupu, as you approach the completion of your PhD, and how do you envision your future career path? And do you see it being influenced by your time in Hungary?
Because my motivation for continue my PhD study is I wanted to become the lecturer in the university. But I feel delighted when I do the academic job. Actually, I feel guilty if I cannot work for several days. I cannot totally enjoy my personal life. I think it's already part of my life. So probably I will consider that, but probably not that prestigious positions. I have to consider my own life as well. So this experience in Hungary gave me a lot, especially when I started the initial period.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my friends around me, including Bimba, give me a lot of comments and help me a lot. Even I cannot read that syllabus properly. So I also wanted to thank my friends, all of them.
So thank you very much for the listeners, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we get to know a little bit about how the Chinese education and how the students study in China. And we got to know how these young Chinese ladies are studying in Hungary, and they also reflected how they studying in the university and reflecting on their studies. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And I would like to give a last moment to our podcast guests, and if you have a few words for the listeners, please, this is your moment.
Yes, thank you, Bimba, and thanks for listening. And I would say all the opinions we shared here is based on our personal experience. So I encourage you to, if you are interested in, to elaborate more, because this is quite narrow. And if you have chance, go to China to see. Because our education system is quite broad and large. And what we said is just a glance of it. Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the listeners, and I hope you will enjoy it. As Yang said, we are just in the general perspective, and if you would like to know more, please maybe do some research online.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Bimba. Thanks for listeners. I agree with both of them. And besides, I also welcome the Chinese students can learn and study in Hungary as well.
Thank you for listening to this MCC podcast episode. For further media content, please look up our English website at mcc.hu/en or look for us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to read more by our professors, external contributors, and students, check out our knowledge base at corvinus.hu/en.